We cut, what we started off with was 24-inch wide, single layer of glass laid up on aluminum foil, plus or minus 45. So it's cutting across the glass tape, the glass roll on the diagonal, 24 inches wide on the diagonal, 54 inches in length. Put it on aluminum foil, laid up the whole thing, got the resin content just the way we wanted it, not too wet, not too dry. And then we cut it, at least half of it into 1-inch wide strips on foil. You can see them here. There's one. I started with 2 9-inchers here and here, and remember it's only 1 ply. And then a 16-and-a-halfer, 16-and-a-half, then 2 12s, one at a time, and then I put one piece right here to cover this up. That's nicely isolated. We're done with the winglet. All we got left to do is the T-taping process on this, and we do have a retract tube for spring and a hard point here for the string attaches to do. But so here's generally how you're going to approach any given area. In most of these processes, this is all typical. This bay, we have a bead of micro filling the groove. A little bit of micro got left behind. Vicki, can you focus on this right there? See that micro there? I scrape it off. I don't want micro between layers of glass. It should only span areas where there's foam exposed. Where I don't have foam exposed, like I'm going to have this corner here or this corner here, where the glass goes right against the surface, I'm going to fill that with just the smallest bead of flux, like I did in this corner, which you cannot see at the moment. This is 7, this is 29.5, and that is 10. So I'm going to start with the 7 first by brushing on just a little bit of resin to make sure that it's wet. And here, add a little micro there too. Now, I could try and fold these, but single plies don't fold very well. So I'm just going to lay it right in the corner. And I'm going to play with it until it averages out and goes into the corner. I'm going to apply just the slightest amount of resin to it, which helps act as a lubricant for rubbing. I can hear the dirty jokes now. Just rub the air out of it. This will get trimmed off later, after it's semi-cured, tomorrow morning sometime. Now I get a hold of the foil right there, and I never pull out. I pull parallel to. You can probably move up close, Vicki, or you can see the bubbles right in here. Let's get rid of those. I'll rub it with my finger. Rub this with my finger. Okay. That one's done. Now we've done a fairly good job of making certain there wasn't excessive resin in the tapes. So let's carry that through. Let's not put too much resin down here and make this thing excessively wet. Try not to get your micro into your resin. Oh, fun. The big ones are always a pain. But it's so nice to get all this glass down in one shot. Average it right in the center of the corner. Endeavor to push in the middle first. You want the air to go this way. this toward me or up. So in the middle first. Then I go with my finger in the center, but sort of going up and then horizontally, trying to move the air from the middle out. The tapes really end up just gorgeous this way. They really look like they were done by a machine. This process was used on Voyager, and at the time I was given credit for it. I shouldn't have, but it was actually, I learned it from, I think I read about it 20 plus years ago. It was used on a polywagon. Nice clean tape, a little bit of air in it. You can manipulate these tapes just a little bit at this stage, but not a whole lot. Tomorrow, while these tapes are still just a little on the green side, I'll take a 36 grit and scuff the edges so that I get rid of the parts that'll cut you. And the last tape in the corner. It's all pretty much typical. When we get back to you, the next layups that we do that are going to be different than this one will be because the number of plies or the size of the plies or the grain orientation will be different. But for now, this area, the tank may see some different things. This surface will see a little something different. But from here, outboard, it's 1 ply glass per side, done the way we're doing this now. We'll be back with you in a bit. Okay, now we're on that special section that we talked about before. We've taped almost everything. We've got a little tape here to do. All the ribs are in place. Remember, this is all 1 ply thus far. 1 ply here, 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 here. 1 ply everywhere. Now in here, I'm going to go 6 inches back, 5 inches back, 4 inches back. It's 3 plies of bid. It'll lap up underneath the underside of this shear web cap. It'll lap onto the bottom, and it'll be the same all the way around. 3 plies, stepping, getting shorter as they go forward. Following that will be 3 plies of unidirectional carbon fiber spar cap over top of this. Coming all the way to here and going to about the middle of this bolt access hole. Then 1 ply of bid on top of that, then a piece of aluminum and a piece of aluminum. They'll be clamped in place and allowed to cure till tomorrow. Then we'll put little flocks around the edges and we'll put 1 ply of bid over top of them, and that will be finished. This area on the inboard end, we will apply 1 ply of glass over this entire surface, lapping about 1 inch onto this surface, 1 inch here and 1 inch underneath, followed by a second tape along the bottom and along the front and along this upper surface here. Then we'll lay up 3 plies, starting about 1 inch up. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not the case. This won't be done until we put the top in place. I'm a little ahead of myself. So that's all we have left to do here. Those 3 plies of bid, 3 plies of uni spar cap, the 2 pieces of bid, the aluminum, and this will follow later. We're back. We've made up 2 plates, 2 inches wide, 3 inches long. We grit blast them. If you have to go someplace else to get them grit blast, take some epoxy with you, put them in a bag, and keep them from oxidizing. Now I've got enough flocks on here. Now this is a radius here and a radius here. This goes into that corner and down at the bottom. Here comes the flocks. We want good contact. Yeah, but we're going to put that in tomorrow. This will still be uncured. We want this all the way up at the top and this all the way at the bottom. And what we've done here, as we explained before, is that you've got 3 pieces of bit on the inside. Now they don't have to be continuous because it's a pain in the butt to do. You can run a piece from here to the center, from here to the center, lapping a little bit, trim the corners, and shorten each one. Then you put the 3 layers of unidirectional carbon in place that step 4 inches, 3.5 inches, 2.5 inches, stepping this direction. All of them go full span here at the top. Into the corner, over, up, and across. Let all 3 out, then put 1 layer of bit over top of them so that your aluminum is not touching your carbon. Then the aluminum, 3 inches wide, 2 inches tall. That'll pick up the centers of each bolts and distribute the load in shear into those corners, both this corner and the lower corner, upper corner and inside corner. Allow to cure, and we'll be back to you for the next step. We are presently at the inboard rib. It's called BL23. We covered the entire surface with a 1-ply bid lapping 1 inch onto the surface, and we added another 1 inch by 1 inch, 2 inch wide ply of glass here and here. Now making this a 2-ply surface and a 2-ply tape. This second tape doesn't have to go all the way to the back because there's no load at the back end. That finishes essentially putting all the ribs and tapes in place, and our next step will be to trim and prepare for T-taping.
You're on.
Good morning. We're back. It's the following day. Things have firmed up, and now we have trimming to do. You know, this tape right here. You see it, Mr. Bread? Mm-hmm. You snip. It's nice and green. Partially cured. So we're going to trim all these little pieces here. Do that. Get rid of all of the little hairs. We're getting ready to do a T-taping operation, and to do that we have to have nothing projecting above the surface. And oh, sorry, leaning up against my mic here. I notice that we have a tube pushing here from here to there. That was pushing on that, and I'll just connect this. We had a piece of plastic on the aluminum here. We'll peel that off. We'll clean that up with as you can see, the material is still relatively uncured. We use a product called CPD, and it has a much longer cure time than the material that you use, because we use it for bagging operations for manufacturing our parts. We don't want it to begin curing until it goes into the oven. But it does cure very slowly. We can follow on subsequent curing operations to this with less sanding incurred. So, trim all these. Trim them and get all this stuff off, and then the next step will be to prepare for T-taping. We'll be back.
You're on.
Okay, remember in our case, we came in the first thing after a layup. This layup got finished last night at 10 o'clock, so this is still chemically active. So any little goobers that were sticking up, we cleaned off, scraped off, sanded off, and sanding is a relative term because it gooed up the paper. You can see it here. And then we brushed West resin on this. This is just a capture layer. You can use Jeffco, safety epoxy, easy epoxy, whatever. But we used West here. and we put flocks around the perimeter after we brushed on the resin, put one ply bit over top of it. Now we had forgotten about this tape here and this tape here, so we put those tapes in, again just removing the material that was standing up, and put on the one ply tape here. We also forgot it up here at the tip. We forgot to put our little tape there, and there. So again, we just removed the little rough spots, put a thin bead of flocks over top of it, which allows your glass to conform to irregular surfaces, and then put that one layer of bit. We didn't even lay it up on tape. We just put it dry in place and wet it out. That completes the tapes that attach ribs to shear web, ribs to skins, etc. And we are ready to prepare these surfaces for T-taping. And so what we will do next is we'll take some sandpaper, some fresh sandpaper, and we'll stick it together and then fold it on its edge, much like this. And we'll go into this rib and go down about 0.1. And then we'll make certain that the vertical glass is exposed, same way we T-taped this shear web. And that's only to prevent a debond when we pull the skins. Ultimately, all the strength in a T-tape is transmitted from the skin to the underside, the L-tape underneath the T. We'll be back to you when we do one of these ribs on video.